The third wizard is the scarecrow. This scarecrow, in the last scene, the spell breaks and he turns into a prince. It seems a bit lame, but it's actually not. For example, there's a scene where he dries the laundry. He helps her dry the laundry. Both Markle and Sophie say that he likes laundry, and you almost believe that, but this isn't true. The scarecrow is actually looking at the mountains. He's longing to go back to his own country. That's why he stands on the high spot and looks at the mountains where his country is. He's always looking for an opportunity to become human again and go back to his home country. Now, why did he become a wizard? Here. This is a bit hard to understand, but it's the last scene where Madame Soliman is looking into her crystal bowl. Sophie is waving her hands, and the scarecrow, the prince of a neighboring country, goes back to his own country flying on a stick. The spell is already broken. How come he is still on a stick and flying? That's because he is a wizard himself. How can he be a prince and a wizard? In Howl's country, the king cannot use magical powers, so he uses science instead. And Soliman is trying to train witches and wizards at her school. So they have different systems. In the neighboring country, the prince is a wizard, and the king is also a wizard. It's a country founded by wizards. It's a magic kingdom, and it has massive military strength. That's why Howl's country is trying to utilize science. It's like Marley in Attack on Titan. They're trying to compete against magical power by using science. That means someone must have turned him into a scarecrow. Of course, it's Howl's country who attacked the neighboring country, and it's probably Madame Soliman. I'll explain it later. The fourth wizard is Markle, the boy who's always with Howl. I don't have much to say about him. He's an apprentice. Howl's Moving Castle is picking a fight with Disney's Fantasia in a way. The scene where the stars fall around the young Howl. It's almost exactly the same as the scene in Fantasia where the water fairies fly. It's almost like saying, hey, I'm better than you. When you look at the release date, Harry Potter and Fantasia were released roughly during the same period. He's competing against the traditional animation and trying to show the correct answer. He's also trying to compete with Harry Potter by saying, no, this is what real magic looks like. It's kind of cool how he picks a fight. He even shows his playful side with the character Markle, the wizard's apprentice. As soon as Miyazaki had Markle, Calcifer, and the dog in his storyboard, he said, the kids are gonna love this film. So they're like mascots in a way. The fifth wizard is the flying monster. This is the monster with a silk hat who fights with Howl in the middle. Howl says to Calcifer, they're like low-ranking wizards. I bet they can't turn back into humans anymore. They're also wizards, so probably they're wizards from the Magic Kingdom. They've been under so many spells that they can't turn back into humans ever again. Since they're wearing silk hats, well, Howl is from Germany, or a place called Colmar or Strasbourg, the Alsace region near the border between France and Germany. This border moves once in 30 or 50 years, so this region moves within French and German territory. This is where the story is set. because they use German in all the posters. I guess it's now in German territory. Whereas these creatures who come and attack wearing silk hats are probably from a country like Britain. Next, the dog, Hin. How can a dog be a wizard? When Miyazaki wrote the proposal of this film, he described this character as a human dog. Madame Suleiman tells this dog to serve her for the rest of his life as her spy. I don't know if this is supposed to be a punishment, but at the end, when Hin laughs at Suleiman's blunder, she says, "You unfaithful two-timer!" Suleiman uses the word unfaithful instead of the word traitor, which means that Suleiman basically considers all of her servants as her lovers. She treats her lovers like puppets, makes them fall in love with her, and exploits them. That's my personal opinion. So you can always sense this dark emotion in every scene. So why did he call it a human dog? There's a scene where Sophie climbs up the stairs with Hin, and he's extremely heavy. He's a lot heavier than she thought. That's because he's still a human, although he looks like a dog. That's why Sophie says, "Why are you so heavy?" and lifts him up with all her strength. Miyazaki made this scene to reveal this secret. Instead of saying, "You're heavy," she says, "Why are you so heavy?" You can see the cruel side of Suleiman here. She turned a human into a dog to serve her for decades. Hin shows the cruel side of Suleiman, but you can also see the double structure here. It's typical of a woman's cruelty. But at the same time, kids love dogs. So Miyazaki knows exactly what he's doing. Madame Suleiman. Needless to say, Madame Suleiman is a witch. She's the principal of Royal Magic Academy, and she's merciless. She's like Muska in Raputa, Castle in the Sky. The page boys of Madame Suleiman, well, those boys that look just like the young Howl, the servants around her, and the butlers, they're all dressed like the young Howl. You can see the erotic relationship between Suleiman and Howl. It's kind of messy in a way, and you should take notice. And it's not that Miyazaki was careless and made everyone look the same. He's saying there's something you might want to look into. Lastly, Sophie. Not many people realize that Sophie is also a witch. As you know, I was really surprised. Miyazaki explains it with his drawing.